Here are my top secrets that I've learned from my French frump to Miss Universe transformation. Real how do you do? My first secret is have long hair. And I didn't know it at the time that was possible, so I just put it on my vision board, okay? And I put Adriana Lima and Penelope Cruz, right? And I had short hair, had no idea how to do it. And then I got extensions from short to long, and then eventually I grew out my own hair. And sometimes I will wear some extension underneath my hair when I go outside and do videos where I twirl, etc., because I have fine hair. So don't worry about your fine hair, just grow it. And when I did, all of a sudden, after the extensions, before men didn't notice me, after this, everyone was asking me out. Also, it destroyed my friendship with my male friends because all of a sudden they had crushes on me and before they didn't notice me. So long hair is a game changer. Number 2, vision boards. I know it sounds stereotypical, but it's true. So when I got into Miss Universe, it was shortly after the book The Secret was out, so I created a vision board. And that's how I got there. Then I went to the pageant and everyone else got there by vision board. I didn't even know it was possible. I submitted my application as a joke. As I said in the previous video, it was, a month and a half after I put the pictures on the vision board. A friend of mine, a photographer, Jean-Marc Caris, I was outside, I just had my hair done, I was walking in the neighborhood of his studio because it was very centrally located, and he was just adjusting his camera settings and he was just trying things. So oh, you're here, hi Maria, do you mind if I take a shot and just adjust my camera settings? I said sure, and I stood at the door of somewhere and that photo changed my life. It looked so good. So we were joking, oh my goodness, we should send to a beauty competition. I said, it's like, yeah, why not? Send to the mother of all beauty competitions, Miss Universe. And we're joking, modeling agencies. Laughing, so why not just do that? And I told my friends, like, why not? Try and see what happens. And to my shock, I got in and I wrote a beautiful essay, and the essay helped me. And then Joan called me, and she said I had one of the best interviews she had with any delegate. So, and and I had the right. I didn't look the part, but my figure was the part. I just had to go to the gym, and be more toned. But I had the right measurements, and the rest, hair extensions, makeup, everything, they could help. So, third is then I was told, oh, go to a stylist. And I went to a friend of mine who I met at Montreal Fashion Week, and he completely made me over and made me feminine. So that's the next thing, hire a stylist. It changed my life to the point I changed my career from politics to becoming a certified stylist myself and a color consultant. It does make such a difference. The next tip I have is don't listen to liars who nag to tell you to look natural. No one at the top of Victoria's Secret, Miss Universe, etc., Hollywood actresses, none of us look natural, okay? So we look glamorous, and that's actually the most desired thing. But to look glamorous and sophisticated, remember the swan rule, and nothing that you do should look so obviously fake, right? So there is a YouTuber and a TikToker called Sadia Psychology, and she was saying, why are so many women, when she decides to go out of the studio and just use a TikTok filter to film some TikToks, frothing at the mouth, that she's not natural? She said, well, neither is the studio lighting, None of us look in person the same way when you have the perfect lighting and the perfect camera angle, right? So what's the difference? And your favorite actors, well, models, etc. in Vogue magazine, that's all edited more than any filter, right? Your movies are more filtered than any filter. Just look at Association France Presse photos of Jennifer Lopez at Cannes Film Festival, like actual press photos from, journalists. She looks nothing like she looks in her official photos on Instagram, right? And in her movies, she looks different, right? So a lot of movie stars, when you have the wire photos, look so different, and instead they mainly send their official photos. The reality is commercials, movies, etc. We buy them because they're highly edited. They look like someone not in real life. And now you're mad that the average population has the same technology that a few years ago was only available to Vogue magazine and the top magazines and top models in Hollywood. Why are you so mad that someone is using something to enhance themselves that a few years ago only Hollywood had access to? Go Sadia, don't listen to Elegance Shameless. Had she listened to Elegance Shameless, and she also wears Arabic eye makeup and does her hair and everything, had she listened to Elegance Shameless, she would not be where she is today. So, bravo, Sadia. My next Miss Universe secret is what Lucera, the Miss Universe coach, taught us to say. So you look in front of the mirror every day and say, everyone wants to be me or marry me. Say it twice a day, looking in the mirror with your eyes, and then say it at night. Next, I took classes from a ballerina on how to walk properly. It makes such a difference in impression. Then I also took, you don't need this, but I also took courses in runway walking, which of course is essential for the stage. The next thing I did is I went to Toastmasters, which is so important to be able to hold a conversation. And at Miss Earth, I even won the Beauties for a Cause award. At Miss Universe, I had the highest score for the Q&A. It was my first pageant, so I didn't place as well as I would have liked, but practice makes perfect. Since I was in Donald Trump's pageant, people asked me how that was. He was lovely and kind and actually let me cover up my swimsuit, which got me international headlines, and he allowed me to participate in an era that was not inclusive, so I'm grateful for that, and he was a gentleman. But I learned something from him. And one thing he teaches in his books is productive narcissism. So I don't overdo it, at least I try not to. But I realized being too humble hurt me. You do have to toot your own horn in this world, right? Like, don't be overboard, loving yourself, I'm beautiful. Come on, right? But, promote yourself. Yes, love yourself, but don't be like obsessed with yourself, right? Have a life, obviously, but do promote yourself. Toot your own horn. The pageant motto of the time was called Confidently Beautiful. And I realized the importance of confidence in sales, where my professor would have learned through many studies and careful thinking and sound hesitant. It was called the Dunning-Kruger effect, where someone who's foolish, everyone listens to them because they sound confident, because they don't know any better that they're wrong, right? And they're full of confidence, and that gives them charisma. That's why dumb people very often have a lot of charisma. but so do narcissists. So I learned from Trump to have productive narcissism. And also, you know, those dark triad traits which we see, oh, this, it's awful, somebody's a sociopath or Machiavellian. I learned that having a little bit of it protects you from bad people. In pageants, I was too focused on being nice. I did win Miss Congeniality, helping others, and this nice girl thing attracted predators, so that's one of the things I learned. And instead, a bit of productive sociopathy, like not too much obviously, but, and a bit of productive Machiavellianism, as in, now I put myself first. If I do charity work, I do it privately. At Miss Universe, we had judges, and at the time, half of them were high-value heterosexual gentlemen, and so, or predominantly so. So we had an idea of, with all the different judges, what people liked, especially what gentlemen liked. And I learned that, yes, they like sparkle, bright color, and feminine things, and dressing sexually modestly, but still sensually. So you see, my outfit is sensual, it sparkles, it's a bit modest, and it works. All this French frump, sparkles are not elegant, blah blah blah, bright color not elegant, anything that heterosexual men are attracted to suddenly is not elegant. What I learned in pageant is that is called sabotage. Instead, see what gentlemen respond to. In pageants, I had trial and error, and other girls were trying different things, and we were seeing what works. And all these feminists who are, why do you dress for the male gaze? You know, stay single. You dress for your job interview, right? Unless you are a nepotism hire, right? You dress to impress your employer. So you dress for the job you want to have. And we dress for the job we want to have, right? So that's one of those things that I learned. Finally, I learned to experiment to develop my own personal style that works for me, that gets the best responses for me, that suits me, instead of following the herd, and that's when I started to really get results. My previous video on elegance shaming sparked a lot of conversation. There are some horrific stories in the comments which remind me of next week's video on this show. The ironically Arab dating show. I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. But yes, the Arab dating show Love is Blind, Habibi. So yes, in that show, the low self-esteem trashy men and trashy pick-me-show women comment on things not being natural, when the pick-me-shows secretly had some work done. But, you know, so elegance shaming is done by low-value loser men because they cannot have you if you're high maintenance, right? That's when they shame you, because they know they can't afford you. If they can't afford you, they might as well shame you, hoping you'd lower your self-esteem and put out, right? Or you have the pick-me-shows who shame their competition because they're jealous. And it is so evident in Love is Blind, Habibi. So my review for that is coming up, and there's some things that you won't see on TikTok that's not expected. So yes, I will go after the pick-me-show Dunya. Yeah, Dunya, I'm coming for you. But I'm coming for people you'll not expect in Love is Blind, Habibi. So I do have a preview, and just watch here, because there are some very important lessons in femininity. And this is an excellent topic about elegance shaming, which happens to Noor. But I'll say things about Noor that you do not expect. If you have been reading and following me for many years, and for the past 4 years have been reading all my posts in my private Facebook group, right? I have a secret group. If you've been reading all those posts for 4 years, you might have a hint to predict of what I might say. But if you're new here, I will surprise you, because I will say what no one says on TikTok about Love is Blind, Habibi. Because in Habibi, there is so much to say, okay? And Love is Blind, Habibi, well, first of all, I don't expect to see an Arab dating show. I never thought I'd see that in a million years. So it will bring female influencers, leftover women, okay? We'll talk about what that is, because you don't have this in the West. And it will bring losers on the side of the gentlemen and create a very interesting dynamic. And of course, on Love is Blind Habibi, the gentlemen are actually the broke that they're not broke, but they're dusty, immature losers. They start going against their faith, religion, and culture to shame women they cannot get. Okay? Spoiler alert, right? And they start elegance shaming. It's so stereotypical. You'll see me break it down. But some women do things that they should not be doing, okay? But they do this to get media traction and so on. I'll explain. Some women are doing things they should not be doing, okay? And it's not who you expect, okay? And also there is some very, very spicy content that's also coming up. So this series triggered so many pygmishas, including one who messaged me for 3 entire days, and she's the head of a bunch of NGOs, and oh, you should see her resume, oh my god. And she lost it and was messaging me for 3 days how everyone who doesn't support 50-50, is mentally ill and needs to go to the insane asylum. And she promotes a mental health charity and a feminist charity. And she was saying that, you're so old, you're practically 50. Well, I'm in my 40s, but at the early end, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so she was going on about most ageist, sexist comments, and she's fronting a feminist NGO that offers therapy, and she was trying to say, you're crazy, and basically that she would offer mental help and all of this, just because I don't want to be a pack donkey who, on top of cleaning the home and cooking and everything, then pay half the bills. I don't understand this arrangement. If I do most of the housework, because that's what men end up letting me do, right? But splitting the bills, I don't get that. That's not equitable to me. I'm sorry, that's stupid. She was trying to imply that I was insane for not wanting an arrangement where I do 70% of the work but pay half the money. It does not make any sense to me. And she runs an NGO that provides mental health services. That's feminist. I had some rather poignant stories in the comments on elegance shaming, and I thought it would be so important to share, so that you have the courage to wear what makes your life beautiful, and so you can be brave enough to face criticism and actually do what's right for you. Brave the criticism and get ahead and live your dream life. Where fear ends is where your dream life begins. Okay, ladies and gentlemen? One gentleman watching me had, a touching story of his aunt. So when his aunt was younger, she had beautiful long hair. And an older gentleman fell in love with her. And they moved in together. So, and this is an excellent example of competitive manipulation. His ex-wife became friendly to the young lady and then told her, "You're so beautiful. You'll be even more beautiful, more fashionable with short hair." See, this is competitive manipulation and sabotage, like I talked about in my previous video. And she cut her hair short, beautiful, long, flowing, blonde Barbie hair. And then this woman's husband lost interest in this young girl. And he left her and returned back to his wife. And this young lady was absolutely ashamed and devastated that she made a fool of herself moving in with a married man. And, she never fell in love with anyone married ever in her life. And she's 70 years old now. And she's never recovered from that. So, therefore, don't let this be you. Don't feel ashamed, okay? We're here to be shameless, which is with a B, okay? First of all, don't feel shame. It's there to manipulate you. Second, don't listen to women who are not a professional stylist. Don't listen to your friends or people who think you think they're your friend. This lady was so naive. She thought this man's ex-wife was, or his wife, this mistress thought this gentleman's wife was her friend and took advice from her. Your real friends, if you're not silly to believe someone's who you slept with that, another woman they slept with is your friend. They're not, okay? That's just next level stupidity and naivety. Okay, some people are that naive, but even your girlfriends, if they're not married and happy in their marriage, and if you're not married, they can be your rivals. I know so many stories where there was a married woman and she had an unmarried friend, and the unmarried friend stole her husband. So I know this one story where this lady married into a royal family, and she was so excited, and she, invited her girlfriend to the palace where she lived. She was so excited, and introduced her to her aristocrat husband. So guess what the single girlfriend did? She became his mistress. And she discovered them together. And the husband said, "Well, she's my mistress. What are you going to do?" She was like, "No, this is terrible. We have children. How dare you?" He's like, "How dare you argue with me?" And he threw her out the window. And because of who he was, the money and connections he had, the police wrote it off. And she had to leave the country. Okay? You've heard of the P. Diddy stories. P. Diddy finally messed with the wrong person. So finally they're starting to do something about it because he's messed with so many people. So and he messed with the wrong person. Okay? But they've been letting it go for decades. So if P. Diddy did all the politically correct moves, he would get away with, assaulting minors, assaulting children. He would get away with being a PDF file. And no legal trouble as long as he kissed the right bottoms and did the right things and was in favor with the right people. He fell out of favor with someone and so got exposed. Right? But, that friend's husband, he was the right people. He had the right money, the right connections, and so there was nothing she could do in that situation. Because she basically, he swept her off her feet. In her country, she moved to his country. where she didn't have connections, that didn't know people who weren't his friends in the first place. So beware of taking advice from people who you did not pay to be a stylist, okay? And yes, you might take a few free tips here and there from professional stylists online or from scientific studies, but don't take advice from your friends. Your friends might be competitors and they might be manipulating you. My videos of Elegance, Sabotage actually resonated with a gay gentleman who's been following my videos, and he said when I talked about stupidity is conformity, elegance shaming, and so on, doesn't only apply to women of color, but also can apply to the gay community. So I was intrigued. He said, you know how, like, as women of color, you know, as they're a woman, you know, wearing makeup with like more eyeliner, so on, the whole Cleopatra thing, it works for me. It will look silly on a white woman, and they go, you're not elegant, when I actually am. And I get all the high value gentlemen, right? Because I wear what suits me instead of what's popular. Because what's popular will work for Karen, but won't work for me, right? And when Karen feels that I'm taking her man, she tries to sabotage me, right? Well, it works the same for gays. So I thought, oh, that's so interesting. So he private messaged me because he doesn't want to be online and known for it. But he said, so he is not your stereotypical twink, you know, not your feminine Barbie boy, right? He is masculine, but not over the top Schwarzenegger, right? So he's sort of the James Dean bad boy type, a baddie, a gay baddie. You know, the type Taylor Swift madly falls in love with and writes about in her lyrics. The James Dean bad boy, and I'm wearing the red lip thing that you like, right? See, what a big Misha. Anyway, and she has in her popular song, "It's blue, the shape of your body, ooh, whoa." And then he was grinning like the devil. And I said, I love you. Isn't that the worst thing you have ever heard? Right? So he's that type, okay? He's like the James Dean gay baddie type, okay? So, yeah. Anyway. So he says it works for him. It helps him stand out from a sea of twinks to be kind of the baddie, you know? He said when he was younger, he hung around a group of gentlemen. I'll call them the Barbie boys. They were the gay version of mean girls. And there was one head mean girl, like one Regina George. I know, what should we call him? Rex George? Rex Georgina? So Rex Georgina invited him, sort of like the Lindsay Lohan character, because he thought he would be the grenade that they'd all look hot against. Oh, who's this masculine loser? Yeah, let's... And they all conform. They're the equivalent of the stereotypic white Kimberleys with the yoga pants, the Stanley Cup. You know, the LA girls who all have the same blonde hair that's not real, not natural, the same balayage, the same Stanley Cup, the same yoga pants, the same shoes, you know, and are completely conformist, and you don't wear anything else and have any sense of individuality whatsoever, they will tear you down, okay? And try to destroy your self-esteem for being different and make you feel weird. However, they don't know in the sexual marketplace, the basic Betty or the basic biatch has one of the lowest values, because basic Betty is competing with every basic Betty who has her look and competing against the celebrity who started popularizing that look. And she is less attractive than that millionaires who had the money to create that look that took off in the first place. And the secret I learned from Lucera at Miss Universe, again as this is Miss Universe Secrets, is don't copy another girl's turn or movement, because she will always outturn you and outwalk you. So you have to develop your own signature walk and your own signature movement and your own signature look. Because if you all look the same, the first person who came up with that will win. So the Barbie boys were like those basic biatches, you know, in LA, or Mean Girls, and they all would wear the uniform, and they would all go to the same gay bars and order the same gay drink. I'm anonymizing it, but they'd order this pink martini. All of them would order it, and my reader would order his whiskey neat and bring a cigar, and he knew all his whiskeys. So, you know, I call our reader, because I saw his social media, as a modern James Dean, and he said, you know, that's too much. I said, no, because you know what, he is not Tom Cruise, and that's very important in the story. He is not exceptionally handsome. He reminds me of Frank Sinatra, who might not be as handsome as Elvis Presley, but at the same time, he would have so many women go insane over his charm, from his singing, right? Gene Kelly over his dancing, etc. Well, here, he's unique. Our little James Dean has this bad boy charm about him that really stands out, and that's so important that we learned at Miss Universe. As I said earlier, you have to have your own unique style and unique thing to stand out. If you look like everyone else, you're basic, and you'll be judged by everyone else, and someone will be better than you, okay? If you're all copying Kim Kardashian, the original Kim Kardashian will always be the best. Sorry, because she has the fame, the money, the resources, and who are you? So these basic biatches, the Barbie boys as I call them, really underestimated this James Dean. So this modern James Dean, he basically created a niche for himself. He realized if he looked like everyone at the gay club, well, he was not the most handsome man in the world. He couldn't compete. He wasn't born a 10 out of 10, nor did he have the funds to plastic surgery himself into one, right? And plus it's very hard to do so. You usually end up looking worse, not better. So he thought he would make the most of his looks, and that's why he related so much to my video where, you know what, I am not the most beautiful woman in the world. I was not born the most beautiful woman. So I learned at Miss Universe and at pageants, what could I do to compete with someone who won the genetic lottery? Well, things for women like wearing long hair, knowing the makeup that suits me, doing things that suits me, and creating my own look and my own niche. And that's exactly what our young James Dean did. So he would actually stand out in the gay bar against all these Barbie boys with their pink martinis when he's there with his cigar, having his whiskey neat, and he knows all the whiskeys. And he would go to the gay bar with a motorcycle and a motorcycle jacket and ripped jeans and this, tight shirt. So the bad boy kind of like black shirt, usually maybe stripe, and or Metallica, and he would wear that. And he would just completely stand out from everyone who looked the same. So there were men far more attractive than him, but they all had the same male version of the Kim Kardashian look. Imagine like you're in LA. Everyone's dressing like Kim Kardashian or Kylie Jenner, and they're all looking like Kylie or Kim, right? At the club, and you have a totally different look. So even women who are prettier than you, the problem is when they're basic, You know, if you're pretty but you're basic, you're destroying your beauty. Why are you destroying your beauty when you look common? Well, for example, you know, many women used to love the Chanel purse, but when you go on Instagram, everyone has it, real or fake, or the Louis Vuitton monogram. It's everywhere, and you know, you even see cleaning ladies wear the fake version, you see the real version. It's just like everywhere. When a particular logo is everywhere, I mean, the purse, like you can have a beautiful Chanel purse, it can be inherently beautiful, but if you've seen it literally everywhere, you open your Instagram, it's just everywhere, you're sick of it. Or a pop song that you really enjoy at first, but then you hear it everywhere on the radio, you're like, enough, I'm sick of it. This is what happens when you have a basic look everyone has. So I'm making a professional assessment of Arida as a stylist that if he had been a Barbie boy and conformed, he would be a plain Jane and he would be a 5 out of 9, you know, on the gay beauty scale. But because he made the most of his looks, he is actually very intriguing and makes the 8 out of the 9 on the gay beauty scale because he looks different. He is the king of his unique niche. Because he didn't conform to the stereotype at that gay club and with the Barbie boys, they thought that he was the grenade one, he was the less attractive one, right? And that if they bring him, all of them would look, all these mean girls would look hot against his background. He was like the Lindsay Lohan who ended up being the hottie. So when they brought him, and they thought, ha ha ha, he's masculine, ha ha ha, he's so different, he's so weird, ha ha ha. You look at him in his leather jacket, ha ha ha. Oh, ha ha ha. Who does he think he is? James Dean, ha ha ha. He thinks he's Sean Connery, James Bond, ha ha ha. Yeah, you like it shaken, not stirred, ha 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 ha. Yeah. And to the surprise of the Barbie boys, the high-value gay gentlemen, the affluent ones, the hot ones, they would walk right past them to the young James Dean. And they thought, what? But you know, if everyone's wearing, let's say, pink t-shirts, I wasn't there, but if they were wearing these pink shirts and he has a black motorcycle jacket and a tight black shirt and torn jeans, and he's having his whiskey neat, can you imagine this scene? He would definitely stand out. They wonder, ooh, what's that? Who is that? That's intriguing, let's check it out. What's your name? Right? And they start talking, and he's charming too. And then he has this, he looks different, he's charming. You know, he has a decent figure, he's not overweight, right? That's the important thing. He's not a gym bro, he's not Arnold Schwarzenegger or beefy, but he's not twink, you know, right? Decent fella, right? But his personality, right, draws you in and all that, so So imagine in LA, you have all these girls with their Stanley Cups and their yoga pants and everything, and they have a blonde balayage and fake lips all at the same place. And they decide to befriend a Persian girl and make fun of her eye makeup. Ha ha ha, you wear dresses and eye makeup, you know. And to their shock, all the Silicon Valley CEOs and all the male models are all paying attention to the Persian girl in a modest dress in a bright color. They're thinking, what? How did that happen? So the Regina Georgia head bully of the group, I will call him Rex Georgina. Well, Rex Georgina was so upset because normally everyone would worship Rex Georgina, and Rex Georgina was not getting attention. So Rex Georgina tried to sabotage and would say, that lad, he doesn't like you. He's just after your passport. When a provider would come, he would say, you have daddy issues, you should see a therapist for your problems with. Why you like daddies? Initially, he would believe them, but then he saw that the very same, Rex Georgina would try to hook up with the very gentleman he put down. So Georgina Rex would put down someone saying, he's a passport, bro. He wants you for your passport as an immigrant. That's the only reason he's dating you. If someone was 10 out of 10. You have daddy issues, and I think it's so toxic for an older gentleman to look at your age difference, I think it's predatory that he's after you. And then he would try to hook up with that gentleman. So our friend James Dean was rather young at that time, so he said that's how he started to learn on toxic versus healthy friends, and that's how he learned that this group was toxic, and he left, and the final straw was he was invited to a party where Rex Georgina, another one, I'll call him Tom, were there. So Rex Georgina brought his best friend since childhood. It's a girl, right? So he brought Sandy, and he knew Sandy since childhood, and they were besties, right? And Tom brought this influencer. I'll call the Instagram influencer Sasha Bebe. So no relation to anyone on YouTube. And she was deeply insecure. There are rumors she was at the Dubai porter party, but so she was always in a bikini on Instagram in exotic locations, and she was aging, so she was a lot older than most of the group, actually. So Sasha Bebe's look in person differed so much from her overfiltered Instagram because she was aging, okay? And she doesn't get the attention in person she gets on Instagram. It's a combination of aging and everything is overdone, over plastic. It's just too much. So against excessive, cyborg, half human, half alien from over-the-top plastic surgery, a young, natural girl is real competition. Stress and trauma ages you, and if you do the whole, just look up Dubai porter party. So Sasha Bebe overcompensated, looking older than her age from the trauma of the escorting she did to promote herself. Over plastic surgery and overcompensated in that way. So when Sasha Bebe saw Rex George's childhood friend Sandy, she went after her because she was real competition. Because Sandy was a young, innocent-looking college girl with long hair and no plastic. The influencer asked the young girl, "So, where did you go for your holidays?" "Ew, to see your family? You mean you didn't go to Bali or the Maldives? Ew, what a peasant." My boyfriend took me. No, actually, your Johns, your patrons took you. I would not even say your daddies took you. Ew, Kate Spade, ew, your boyfriend is such a loser. First, they have to give you a Birkin, and then they can give you a Chanel or a Kelly, and then you can go and wear that because that's actually cute. But ew, you're not ashamed to walk around in a Kate Spade? In fact, it's the opposite. For elite ladies, it's shameful to wear a bag in university that most girls can't afford because that gives escort vibes. Therefore, at university, they do wear actually Kate Spade. You'll see them wearing a Louis Vuitton canvas bag, but not monochrome. You'll see the damier, but in the grey blueprint. You'll see Longchamp and super high quality, but no name. To prevent envy, trust fund girls wear bags that they could plausibly get by working for their parents' company at that age. So 25 tends to be the age where you will see them with a Chanel bag. So as the influencer was really going after and putting down Rex George's childhood friend, instead of defending his childhood friend, Rex George also said, ew, who wears, Kate Spade? That's gross, that's disgusting. And then he also was saying, yes, yeah, I know, she was always a loser, never went anywhere on vacation unlike me. James Dean said, look, you knew her since childhood, you don't even defend your friend? This is not okay. Just because that person has 500,000 followers on Instagram gives her no right to talk to Sandy in that way. If you won't stand up for Sandy, I will. I'm getting out of here. Sandy, let's go. James Dean grabbed Sandy and the two of them walked away from that toxic group and cut them off of their lives. James Dean said that group was always shaming him for being different, for, wearing a leather jacket and a dark black shirt instead of a pink Barbie one. And again, I'm using the whole Barbie boy term to anonymize this group of people, and the stereotypical pink shirt to anonymize. One of the stories in my comments was utterly heartbreaking and absolutely awful. And this is why I make my videos, so that you don't get hurt and manipulated in this way ever again. So, her so-called friends manipulated her and kept shaming her, you're not elegant, and said that her beautiful, lovely curly hair, she had this beautiful Barbie, naturally curly waves that would make gentlemen look at her and attracted to her. Her horrible so-called friends said that you look like an escort, and they shamed her. So if you remember my previous video, I have scientific studies that elegance shaming is a form of competitor manipulation, and also women use floozy shaming, purity shaming, etc. as a way to reduce competition, okay? So you have to be aware, especially if you're single, many of your friends are not your real friends, but competition. So they floozy shamed her and said, and gave her unsolicited advice, but they're not stylists, they're not professionals, and they said that your hair looks like an escort, etc., etc. So she kept straightening and chemically straightening her hair until it started to fall off, and she started to develop some baldness, and luckily baldness grows out and you can get rid of those friends forever, but she started to basically fry her hair. I recommend wearing the biggest, boldest, most Barbie wig possible and send those haters to hell. Remember what Shira said about people who shame women for having lashes? It's true. At Miss Universe, we wear lashes, right? And gentlemen who shame women for having false lashes can't afford a high maintenance woman. And women who shame women for having false lashes, of course, you know, if they're really big and obvious, nobody's going to shame you. They're just laughing at you. But when women specifically go to you and shame you, it's to manipulate you from being, so that you won't be competition, okay? So when women tell you this and that is not elegant, it's not because it is, it's just to lie and manipulate and shame you so that you're no longer competition. Don't listen to your friends for fashion advice, don't listen to elegance shaming, and hire a stylist. If you cannot afford one, at least learn the swan rule. And finally, we have a happy story of one of our ladies who escaped competitors' sabotage from an aunt who told her to cut her hair short. And she stood up to someone for the first time and said no, and kept her hair long and beautiful, and she married up and moved from Canada to Florida. So you have a lovely story of what happens when you say no to elegance shaming, which is competitor sabotage. You get the gentleman of your dreams, get married, and live happily ever after. So ignore when women laugh at you for not being elegant. You'll be laughing at them for being single and miserable while you're happily married, happily living your dream life. I wonder which of these points were the most interesting for you, or most useful. Comment below, and please like, share, and subscribe. Ciao! And haters, don't forget to hate below. You might be included in my next opera.